Hi, welcome to an Open Mind Show. Today my guest is Catharae. Catharae is a very talented belly dancer, although I think it has another more traditional name. We know it as belly dancing. She's also a very skilled psychic and tarot reader and crystal ball reader and palmist. So she's a woman of many talents. Hi Catharae, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm glad we could get you on the show. I know how busy you are.
Yes, fortunately. Yeah.
So I noticed you're wearing sort of pseudo exotic garb. Very nice, very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So tell me, how did you get started in belly dancing?
When I started belly dancing, it was actually when I was making a transition in my whole life pattern.
Oh yeah?
I say it was the year that I got single.
That's a transition for many of us.
And I realized, I thought, what is it that I want to do that all these years I've been sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting? And the first thought was, I loved to dance when I was a little kid. I would dance just for the sheer joy of it, so that's what I wanted to do. So first I signed up for a country western line dancing.
Texas two-step.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I decided, well, this was nice, but I wanted something that was a little more girly. So I happened to see in the newspaper one day just a little ad stuck in the middle of a page, and it said belly dancing, and it was at a location 30 miles from where I live, and I went, okay, I'll try that.
And you did?
And I did. After 6 months with the class, I said to the instructor, should I be doing this? I mean, am I okay? Am I doing okay? And she goes, honey, you're a natural.
Oh,
and,
really? Oh,
and so I
great.
said, okay, that's it. And she took us to like a showcase of dancers. And honestly, I felt like I had sequins in my eyes. I couldn't sleep that night. All night long, I kept thinking, if I could only do that, that would be so cool. And then, you know, Flashdance came out, and I
remember that.
I want to do this. I want to do it. And so, you know, through perseverance, I just kept sticking with it, and it's actually become a very important part of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know anything about the history of it or the different traditions that might be?
You know, there are many, many histories. It's the mythology, really, of belly dancing. For as many dancers as there are, there's probably that many interpretations of where it began.
One of those things.
Yeah, but many people really feel that originally it came from the goddess-based religions.
Oh.
And as the world was being converted to the God-based religions, there were a lot of priestesses that were out of work. Yeah. and what they had done in celebration was dance. And so they took the one thing that they did know how to do that was marketable, and they took it to the general population, and they would toss money at them, and that's how they survived.
Hey, not bad.
No,
Yeah.
no. And, you know, even tied a little bit to that is the myth of why dancers wear coins and things. Because even during World War II, when people were displaced, they would sew their wealth into their clothing.
Oh yes, that's right.
Many of the people that were fleeing Germany would sew their jewels in the hem of their garments. Well, the belly dancers, of course, were a little more flamboyant than that, so they sewed them all over. And in doing so, they were advertising. You know, hire me, I'm the good dancer, because they throw me lots of money.
I've got more money, I'm the better dancer.
Yeah.
Oh, how interesting. How
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, so that's only one
Yeah.
aspect of it. You know, everybody likes to believe the Hollywood story about the harem, where you know the bored extra wives didn't have anything to do, so they dance for each other. Well, that's traditional, though, in a lot of Middle Eastern homes. The dancing is done for the women by the women. They don't do it out in public.
Yeah.
They only keep it within their home, and sometimes within their own little room.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If they invite their girlfriends over to dance, they may have beautiful costumes. They show up and they're very reserved in their public attire, but they don't want the brothers and the husbands and everybody to see them, so they go in their little room with their girlfriends, and they'll have a big party in there.
Well, I know in the East it's really different with the separation of the sexes,
Yeah.
that women are much more bonded with each other and
Yeah.
men are much more bonded with each other. They don't really come together much except in a family situation.
Right.
One thing that was coming to mind, though, when you were talking, was when I was in Egypt, we saw some belly dancing. It was quite different from what we see over here. I mean, first of all, they were covered head to toe.
Yeah.
And it was not as, say, evocative
Yes.
as what we see. Is this more a sort of a Western tradition?
Oh yeah, it's called belly dance via Hollywood.
Oh,
Yeah, you know, Americans do it traditionally anyway. You know, we see something that we love that belongs to someone else, and so we steal it and we adapt it and make it our own.
make it glitzier, more,
Yeah.
for me, much more beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even in the 50s, when it was popular to have belly dancers in Egyptian movies, they were starting toward the more bead and sequin stuff. They still had the traditional asut material, which...
What is that?
That is a handmade material that for a while was not even being made. It was so labor intensive. But there was like a moratorium on belly dancing. They didn't want people to do it for a while due to a change in regime. You know?
Right.
And that's when the belly button started having to be covered up. I mean, you could be virtually see-through naked, but if your belly button was covered up, it was okay. It was about the letter of the law.
Human beings are so interesting.
Yeah, not the intent, but the letter. But probably what you saw was more ethnically oriented.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I mean,
Right.
don't get me wrong, but it was so different from
Yeah.
like my first introduction to belly dancing was at a Persian restaurant in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, whoa.
You know, and they would come around the tables and
Yeah.
feed them, and I fell in love with it, and I always thought I would love to do that.
Yeah.
For some reason, my path has never taken me there, but I'm still, not at the end of my life. There's hope yet.
Oh no, that's one thing about belly dancing. I have to tell you, you don't have to be 2 years old with the right turnout or turn in or anything. Whatever life stage you're at the right place to take
Yeah.
belly dancing. It's about life experiences expressed through your emotions and then into your physical movement. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely considering it.
Cool. Yeah.
More seriously than I ever have before.
Beautiful.
So where do you dance?
Anywhere that there's a emergency call for a belly dancer, we're likely to show up.
So your name is out there, and people call you and say,
Sure.
would you come and do this? And
Absolutely. I'm on several different lists, and I have a website. I even got a phone call from a producer for a James Edward Olmos event. He was down
really?
He was down at the Egyptian Theater in LA, and she goes, "We need belly dancers that can do about a 5-minute show. Can you do it?" And it's like, "Sure."
Sure.
So 3 of us went down there dressed to the nines and did our little deal, and he physically handed me the money, so I got to see him eyeball to eyeball. Andy Garcia was there. I mean, it was like I was starstruck, but they were admiring us, and so we got to switch places for a little while.
Yeah. So do you have a particular style of dance that you
I do.
do and teach, and where does that come from?
I do the old Arabic Turkish style. Which is, based in the Earth Mother kind of thing, barefoot kind of. I wear shoes now, but basically that's where it came from. And it has, you play finger cymbals, you use a veil, you do all of the old romantic kind of things that many of us saw in the movies, which is a slight variation from what you're seeing right now. There's Egyptian styling called rak sharki.
Oh, I've heard that.
Yes. Sharki means oriental and raks means dance.
Oh.
Well, to them, to us as Westerners, it's Eastern. It's the beginning of the East, so we call it oriental, okay? And that would be Egyptian with a wee bit of Russian influence. That's why they're up on the balls of their feet and they're all tight to the body. And Egyptian dancers rarely do you see one without shoes because they want to elevate the dance form. I'm not poor and dance barefoot.
Oh.
I have shoes.
Okay. I see.
And,
that's fascinating.
And there's a couple other derivations now, especially here in America, you know, individualists. There's a gypsy style, which is kind of like a bear-looking Stevie Nicks, you know, big fluffy skirts and and turbans and different things like that.
I haven't seen that.
It's quite eclectic. There's a blending. Many Middle Easterners don't get it because they'll go, "Why do you have tassels on your butt? We put those on our goats and our elephants." But if you shimmy, it makes them move. You know. So that's one style. And then there's an up-and-coming art form called the urban style. And that is maybe goth and hip-hop influenced. So it's much darker, and it's usually in a tribal situation. So there'll be a small group of women that, there are some men though, a small group of women that play off of each other, and they're very tightly choreographed.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like intense yoga put to music. Really, they'll do back bends where they're hovering midair and then they fall to the ground.
Wow.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance to see the Belly Dance Superstars, produced by Miles Copeland.
Copeland.
Yes.
Okay.
You'll get a smattering of everything in that.
Is that C-O-P-L-A-N-D?
C-O-P-E-L-A-N-D.
E-L-A-N-D. All right. In case anybody wants to Google it.
Absolutely. Just go to Belly Dance Superstars is all one word.com.
Belly Dance Superstars.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing. I mean, they're going worldwide now, so.
Also, another thing is normally when I see belly dance troupes or belly dance performance, there's a group of musicians behind, and they're all male. And could you say anything about that?
Well, that has to do with pecking order too.
Oh.
See, even socially in the Middle East, they want you to maybe go into the family business or whatever. But if a male wants to be in the music industry or entertainment, it is much better to be a musician. And then the dancers come underneath the musicians. So, yeah. So you might be extremely talented, but please don't be a dancer. We'd rather you be a musician.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. But we do have a few women that are working as drummers now. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, way to go.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a few men dancers, and like I said, Tito will be coming in, and
I'd like to see that.
He's like the hot thing right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's such a huge world of this. It's so fascinating. Can you say anything about the tradition of the costume? I mean, like, do they have particular meanings? Are there a certain amount of veils? Or you said a little bit about the tassels on the butt.
Oh, yeah.
And the coins. Yeah. But what about the way it's draped or anything, or bodices or anything like that?
Even the style that you're wearing can reflect the style dancing you would be doing. Okay, so if you're doing ethnic, you're probably wearing like a tunic with a scarf tied at your hip, and you may have a scarf tied on your head. You would still be doing a lot of the movements, but it would be subdued and implied. That might be more foot-oriented or shoulder-oriented, because the torso, of course, is covered.
Yeah.
But there are huge troupes that go through the Middle East that are dancing in that particular costume. There's a cane dance that is specific to that is usually done in that costume. Okay. Then if you wear, well, this of course would come from the tribal style, because it's sari cloth somebody has adapted and made it into vests and cholis, which would be short tops and voluminous skirts, and like I said, turbans. They also would do face tattooing, which is a derivation of some of the tribal costuming that's been present since antiquity. Okay, tribal markings would indicate what tribe you belong to. So you might
Oh,
use.
I've seen that on the chin and
Yeah, and in the Middle East,
and on the hands too.
Berbers do it, and there's a specific group of dancers called the Gedra,
Uh-huh.
and they would dress in a certain fashion with a certain headdress, totally identifiable by what they wore.
God, there's so much to this. I mean,
And the costumes that I mostly wear are more of the Arabic Turkish style. If you wanted totally Egyptian, well, now they're wearing a lot of really fitted gowns that look like evening gowns with little peekaboo holes in them. You know?
really? Oh gosh.
And less of the big heavy fringed belts, which is very Turkish, now Turkish. So the Egyptians have really streamlined what they're doing.
They're getting a little more liberal.
Yeah, but of course the belly button's still covered.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You can't have that. Yeah.
So Egyptians will parade with a veil generally. They give it a couple turns and put it down. Arabic Turkish love the veil.
Yeah.
They'll do the draping and the mysterious and all of that.
And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And probably just as beautiful to do as to watch.
It is. Actually, for me, I think the veil is my favorite part. I don't know why. It was the one part I had the most trouble with when I first started, but sometimes that's an indication. Because if you're having trouble with something, you really should stick with it to work your way through it, because there may be a little block even in your life that applies to, and when you get on the other side of it, things are much better.
So this kind of dance just unlocks your inner self, and it's sort of a whole body, mind, spirit experience.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Usually in one of the first days of class when I'm teaching my students, I tell them specifically pay attention to what you cannot do, because it might be an indication.
Oh, how interesting. Yeah.
So if there's something on your right side that's not working, it might have to do with a logical decision that you've made.
That brings to mind when I used to teach Tai Chi.
Okay.
I could always tell when someone was dyslexic.
Okay, yeah.
And by the end of the class, that dyslexia often would be completely gone or very much
Alleviated.
changed because it was a matter of moving their body in certain ways to recreate the brain, you might
It's true.
say.
It's really true.
It sounds like this is very similar.
I think so. There's a whole bunch going on there. You think, oh, beads and sequins, but this goes down many, many
There's
levels.
so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want us to stop before mentioning also, or talking a little bit also about your other work, which is as a psychic, intuitive, and palmistry and so forth. And I mean, did you do that before you did the belly dance, or did it come after, or you don't remember?
Actually, I do remember. And it was back to that phase when I was getting single. What is it that I want to do? Well, I'd actually gone to a reader a couple of times, and I was like, oh, you know, it's really interesting to have somebody who knew nothing about me that could understand from a compassionate point of view where I was coming from.
Oh, okay.
And so that kind of opened my eyes, and ditto, like my dance teacher, I said, well, you think I could do this? And she's like, girl. Yeah, go ahead and try.
Go ahead and try.
So I took one class, which was like a day-long intensive, and it's like, and then it's like dance. You just go and do. You're not getting ready. It's like, it's not dress rehearsal. Go ahead and start.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. That's so true. It's what I teach it's what I tell my students, and some do, and some are too afraid. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe I should send them to belly dance class.
Okay. All right. We'll tag team them. Okay. Yeah.
And so you work at the Renaissance Fair.
I do. I've been at the Renaissance Fair since it was out at Devore, and now we're over at Irwindale.
Right.
And we're over in the Traders Market. We have a nice little tent set up, and wonderful people coming by, getting readings. It's really, it's a great venue.
Yeah. And the one in Southern California is the only one you work at, or do you do others too?
You know, I have worked others as well. So I am going to Vegas. I'm going to do the Renaissance Fair up there, Age of Chivalry.
Oh, how fun.
And that's a cool one to do. I went last year. It was very, very nice.
And you're pretty well-rounded. I mean, I've had readings from you. I know. I keep coming back.
Thank you.
You have, you do the cards, you do the crystal ball, you do a little bit of palmistry. And so it gives you kind of a well-rounded experience of the person, or is it just what Spirit tells you to do? Or, I mean,
You know what?
some people can only do one thing, and you do many, and just interested in how that works for you.
I wonder if it even comes from the astrology of my makeup, see.
Could be.
But I'm rather eclectic anyway. If you come to my house, that's the way my house looks.
Yeah.
I have a little of this and a little of that. But I think what you do then is, rather than painting everybody with one broad stroke, all these different things give you nuances, different little insights. If there's a predisposition there, but what are they doing with it? The hands can tell you that.
Right.
What are you born with, and what are you doing with it? And ditto, the cards may say, well, this was what's going on the next 3-6 months. This might be a lifetime.
Yeah. The reason I was interested is because I also do that, and you're the only other one I know who does that kind of eclectic reading. And I find it so rewarding because, like you said, this may tell you something, and then the hand tells you so much more, or even vice versa.
There you go. You're an air sign, though, aren't you?
Aquarius.
Yeah, there you go.
Air sign. And you?
I'm a Libra.
Libra. Well, air sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of a restlessness of the mind. So it's like, well, that's a good answer, but do we have any more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, exactly. And I think that might tie in with your dance too, because it seems like it's multifaceted.
Right.
I'm going to guess that it's continually creative.
Yes.
And never, ever tedious or boring.
I haven't found it to be, and I've been at this since 1987.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not burned out yet. My body might burn out, but my mind is still active. It's like, now what's going on? Yeah, there's always something more to learn. There's always somebody new that comes in, or a new interpretation. There's so many different dancers and different teachers.
Yeah. Well, I have seen you, and like I said, I've had readings from you, and I'm impressed with everything that you do, and I'm so glad you could be on the show. If someone wanted to reach you, how would they do so?
Well, several different ways. I have a website that's being revamped even as we speak, at www.catharae.com, or
that's CATHARAE.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm also doing costuming and different things. So if you go to thepinkgypsy.com, you can find more information there, and there's some little business blurb in there too about dancing and stuff. You certainly can call me on the phone. You can email me at catharae@msn.com.
Okay.
Or give me a jingle.
Great.
We also do events like bridal showers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hire me for an hour and I'll teach you girls how to dance. Next time you're at the club, they can jump up and do their routine.
How fun would that be? So you do special events,
Yeah.
and you teach, and just all sorts of things. Costumes, yeah.
Yeah, if you want your costume to fit, it really helps if somebody that's a dancer built it for you.
I bet they're built a bit complicated, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they look simple, but to get them to fit and not fall off, and and look like they're a part of your body.
Things down. Yeah.
Yeah, certain things up. Yeah. Hold the girls up.
Yeah, I know. Don't let them bounce. I always tell them, if you want a certain figure, let me know and I'll help you costume it into your. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here.
It's been fun. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us at the Open Mind Show and our guest, Catharae. Please remember to subscribe to our show so you don't miss a minute of all the wonderful guests and wonderful information and fun and joy that we have. Thank you.